and welcome. We come to you from the India Energy Week here in sunny Goa, where all the talk is about the future of energy. Now, when it comes to India, the need of the hour is for a reliable and clean fuel future. Biofuels is emerging as a solution to this. Biofuels are renewable, they're indigenous, and they're future ready. Well, to talk more about this, we're now joined by Vijay Nirani, who is the founder of TruAlt. Thank you so much for joining us. You've had quite a busy time here at the India Energy Week, and TruAlt is one of the largest producers of biofuels in the country. So when we're talking and all these conversations are happening about, India's transition and, the future of energy, tell us about the role that biofuels is going to play.
First of all, thank you so much for having us on your show, Gargi. And the India Energy Week is one of the biggest platforms that India has created in a very short span of 4 years. It's amongst one of the top 5 energy discussion podiums or an asset that India has created. And it's always exciting for us to come here, share what we know, learn from the global players, and try and understand how we can better the energy demand of the country and how we can better be self-reliant. Now, on biofuels, I think we are at a so you've seen the global order. Energy is the key area where the geopolitics, entire ecosystems are falling or they're building. And when we speak of energy, India doesn't have a lot of its own. We import a lot, we only refine it, and we export a little. But when we speak of biofuels, we have this beautiful opportunity to grow our own fuel and offer the fuel to the nation. At the same time, we have the opportunity to build a socialist economy or a circular economy where farmers and the lowest of the people in the pyramid are benefited out of the consumption of these kinds of fuels. So it's very exciting for us.
Right, absolutely. And the need of the hour is, of course, energy security. And that's what all the talk here has been about, especially when we talk about India, from the Prime Minister's address, the Minister's address, whatever we've heard so far. So tell us about the government, what steps have been taken, regulatory steps to encourage biofuels.
I think India's done a fantastic job, at least since the beginning. 2018 was the turning point where we realized the potentials that the biofuel sector carries. And the government of India came out with the National Biofuel Policy. Under the umbrella of the National Biofuel Policy, we had multiple buckets. One is the ethanol blended with petrol program, wherein India wanted to blend 20% of ethanol by 2030. And the program was so beautifully laid out that India actually achieved that 20-year program, the 10-year program in just 5 years. The program was one of these disruptive and a very phenomenal achievement that we preponed the timelines of the program by 5 years, almost 50% of the time. That's a phenomenal success, the EBP program. The second program is SATAT, Sustainable Alternative Towards Affordable Transportation, wherein India encouraged different kinds of feedstocks to be converted into compressed biogas or biogas, otherwise called the compressed natural gas. So it's an alternative to CNG. It's methane derived from waste like municipal solid waste, sugarcane press mud, agricultural waste. We have a lot of these which is excess, and we're actually converting that into meaningful energy. And a beautiful thing is the residual waste is also being sold back after extracting the methane. The residual waste in the CBG business is sold back to the farmers. And they have multiple programs for this under the National Biofuel Policy, where we've got direct pipeline injections, the CBG CNG synchronization scheme. There is the market development assistance, that's an incentive. There's a capital subsidy available. So that's the second bucket under the National Biofuel Policy. Interesting thing is going forward, the Bharat mission, where we have green energy.
Yes.
We've got green ammonia. All of these beautiful new age fuels that can actually replace your conventional fossil fuels, which were dependent from your overseas. It's a phenomenal policy, which is now getting fully implemented.
Right. So India is at the center of energy transition currently, and when we talk about the biofuel journey, what is India getting right that the world should pay attention to right now?
So I think the biggest strength of our country is we can do anything at scale. And because we've got a lot of fantastic young population, we've got a lot of natural resources, our land mass is so large, our agricultural produce is so large, we've got water bodies so large. So all of these give India an opportunity to grow all of the energy that is required in a very large way. So what we can actually create is enough energy for not just ourselves but for the global requirement. And when we speak of sustainable energy, we have seen the largest of the countries go back to conventional. The famous quote of "drill, baby, drill" is still haunting us. So India has this huge potential to solve the global crisis because we have a lot of excess. We can not just only produce for ourselves, but we have the potential to give to the world. So that's a big strength that India has.
All right, and TruAlt is one of the major players when it comes to bioenergy. Tell us what is setting TruAlt apart in this bioenergy ecosystem.
I think we have been lucky to be the first movers, and the first movers always have an advantage. We have an advantage to scale up. We have an advantage to learn, unlearn fast. We have an advantage to try and fail quick. So we did all that before the other guys come in, and we have advantage to benefit from the incentives and the policy benefits. So all of that we could actually gather, we could actually consume. We're one of the largest beneficiaries of the interest subvention scheme for ethanol. We're one of the largest beneficiaries for compressed biogas. Will be one of the largest beneficiaries for the aviation fuel business, even the OMC authorization. So that is the strength that TrueWorld could actually get for itself because we moved quick. We moved before people were actually thinking about exploring this space. So that's a big strength that we carry.
Okay, and TruAlt is an integrated bioenergy platform. If you could explain to us what that means when you talk about integration.
So a beautiful thing about biofuels is we take in one or a kind of raw material and we create a whole bunch of fuels around it. For example, I speak of, so we typically come from the sugar industry, right? We take in sugar cane, we make sugar in our the other group company. Sugar is energy for the body, that's one kind of energy. Then the residual waste of making sugar is molasses. We take that molasses in TrueWorld and we make ethanol out of it. Ethanol is our first vertical in TrueWorld, and that is going in for blending with petrol now. Eventually, we are now converting that ethanol. We just signed a agreement with Honeywell to set up a 80,000 tons per annum sustainable aviation fuel plant in Andhra Pradesh. It's going to be India's largest and one of the world's largest aviation fuel plants. That's set to come up by 2028. That's the second vertical. Now, while making this ethanol, we get something called a spent wash, which is another waste. We use that spent wash to make compressed biogas, that is methane. Now, while making that is methane is again energy for your vehicles, your cooking and heat, all of that. Now, while making this methane, we get something called as PDM, potash derived, the residual waste is PDM, that is organic fertilizers, and that is energy to the soil. So, in true sense, biofuels is energy to different. See, we're giving energy to human body, we're giving energy to vehicles, we're giving energy to the for heat industry and multiple places. We're now giving energy to aviation, that is to the flights, and then to the ground for the soil. So energy by large is not just your conventional petrol, diesel, where we only try and run some engines or motors. Here we're actually running a whole ecosystem. And but very interesting thing, by doing all of this, by taking this one or two kinds of products, we are actually energizing the whole Indian economy. So that's what excites us and that keeps us
okay, wonderful.
driven.
Now I know that TruAlt has partnered with many major oil companies. If you could tell us a bit about these partnerships.
So we've been very lucky to have been one of the early movers in the space, and we've had fantastic JVs. One JV is with a global giant called Sumitomo. Sumitomo Corporation is a 300, 400-year-old company. We've all heard of them. Phase one of that JV with them is to set up to 12 compressed biogas plants, of which 4 plants are already underway. We are constructing the first 4 plants, which are 20 TPD each. That's a big investment that both of us are doing together. And the same JV is also going to get converted into setting up the aviation fuel plant. So we have the same Japanese entity which is interested to also partner in the aviation fuel plant. So we already have the global giants coming in the new age business verticals. We also have a joint venture with GAIL, Gas Authority of India, to do 10 compressed biogas plants. And we have already signed that JV back in August during our program in Green Rev in Delhi. So we're waiting for the final clearance from DIPAM, the Department of Investments and Promotions. As soon as that comes through, we kick off the
All right. Well, the talk here at Energy Week has been a lot about technology and the role it's going to play and going into the future. And so when you talk about biofuels, tell us about the technology that is going to bring in the next phase of biofuels.
So I think there's a lot of disruption happening in the technology space, and we've got fantastic companies that are actually giving mind-boggling, technologies and solutions. Uh, so the problem of excess is now being seen as an opportunity of excess. So we're now looking at. There was a time just about 2 or 3 months ago when the demand for ethanol was only 1,000 crore liters, whereas the production was close to 1,800 crore liters.
Yes.
The country started saying we have excess of 800 crore liters. What are we going to do about it? Now there is technology to convert that excess ethanol into aviation fuel. We've got technologies to convert that excess ethanol, or instead of making ethanol, we can make green methanol, we can make green ammonia, or we could make malolactonic acid. And it's a fantastic thing. Malolactonic acid is a chemical that is used to make rubber. So we make bio rubber, where all the places where rubber is applied, we can use that product there. So just by using the same inputs, we have multiple of products that we can make. So in terms of technology, when we speak of aviation fuel, you see there are close to about 30,000 aircrafts that are flying globally.
Yes.
And we have an order book of an additional about 20,000 aircrafts, which are set to be in service by 2040. So, including the 30 and the next 20,000 aircrafts that will be put to use by 2040, all these 50 odd thousand aircrafts will run on conventional fuel. And for those for these aircrafts to demonstrate carbon emission reductions, will have to be or they are completely dependent on sustainable aviation fuel as
so the demand is going to
it's going to soar. It's going to
so we're talking about all these big companies and of course the aviation industry, but let's talk about rural India. How does rural India benefit from biofuels?
That's exactly where we get a very good night's sleep, right? So thinking about the rural India, all these plants that we do, be it the ethanol plants, the sugar plant complexes, be the compressed biogas plants, all these are set up in the villages, in the tiniest of places. And here, the beautiful thing is the entire raw material that we consume comes from farmers. And India is a country that has 55% of its gross population dependent on agricultural activity for their income. And what better way to support the agricultural community? See, thanks to the ethanol program, price of rice and maize skyrocketed last year. We had a fantastic opportunity for the farmers to have additional income, and that income helped farmers to actually realize much better revenues, and that actually created a humongous circular economy. Just to give numbers, India consumed close to, in terms of value, rupee value, close to about 1 lakh crores worth of import was substituted by consuming ethanol, 20% of ethanol in petrol. So out of that 1 lakh crore, usually in our unit economics, up to 70 odd % of our unit economics is contributed to raw material. And that raw material, let's say in the whole larger dynamics, 1 lakh crores worth of consumption revenue, and 70% of it is 70,000 crores, almost close to $10 billion, was actually paid to farmers coming from the rural most of places. And if a farmer has money in his pocket, he's going to spend it in the villages, in the rural most of places. He's going to buy clothes, he's going to buy food, he's going to buy your local groceries. And that is creating a huge circular economy that is increasing the spending, that's actually creating consumption, and that's actually creating a large economy for ourselves.
Already we talked about all the positives and the boosts, but what are the challenges that you are seeing right now? What is it that you are facing right now, especially when it comes to, as you spoke about, agri-production, etc. So what are the challenges here?
So of course, these are your generic challenges. The government, if we have seen what they did with the EBP program and what they're doing with the CBG also, is when they put right letters to the paper, it creates magic. There is a very promising opportunity to blend ethanol with diesel. That will immediately create twice the demand what we have today against your ethanol blending. So there are certain policies which need to keep changing with time, or which needs to keep upgrading. And I'm sure the policy makers are already at it. And I'm sure we will see those, the challenges that are there, which are, I would call it minor in nature, and which needs addressal, and they will address it, and we will overcome those.
All right, so here at India Energy Week, there's been a lot of talk about, encouraging and getting more investment. So what role can private capital and, foreign investments play in this biofuel sector?
So there is a lot of opportunity, and as we see, we've already have Honeywell, a US-based company, UOP, a US-based company. We've got Sumitomo coming in. We've got a lot other potential partners that we are in discussion with, who are global guys. And we also have a lot of financial entities, institutions who are willing to invest, who've got a lot of green capital, where they're finding it difficult to actually deploy this capital. And this capital is very easy to tap, or rather, the capital is looking for the opportunities, rather, instead of us looking for the capital. Capital is trying to find us now. So it's a very unique and a very interesting opportunity for us. I think capitals are looking at this with a good spirit.
All right, now, biofuels is a green energy, renewable energy. How do you ensure sustainability across, the entire supply chain and production chain?
So we have this concept of even when we do our ESG reporting and our BRSR reporting, we follow cradle to grave sort of carbon calculations. We see how the crop was planted, the kind of irrigation systems the plants have done. We see how the crop is transported to the plant, to how it's consumed, what kind of steam we use. We use biomass-based steam. What time it's green steam. We use green power coming from cogeneration plants. Um, every product gets meaningful, it's converted into value added products. While making ethanol, we get carbon dioxide. We are looking for opportunities to convert that CO2 into green methanol. So there is a lot of, so when we calculate all our carbon intensities or carbon emissions, we do a cradle to grave assessment, and we actually report that also in our the annual reports that we do. So our whole existence is dependent on sustainability, and for us, it's the core of our being. So.
All right. So, you've spoken about the journey till now of biofuels. The next 5 to 10 years, the entire bioenergy industry or the bio sector, where do you see it going? How do you see it advancing in the country?
So we have tremendous potential. So the energy requirement, or let's say the energy per capita consumption in India is almost 1/12 of that in China. 1/12. And we have a population that is almost equal to China, or maybe a little larger than China. So that gives us a humongous opportunity just to make up for the global or the standards of what China is consuming energy at. And post that, there's a lot of AI being done these days. There's a lot of battery storage. I mean, all the tech growth that is happening, a lot of energy is going to be required.
Yes.
So for all of it, one is to make up for the per capita consumption, and for the future growth, we will need a basket of different kinds of energy. So now that we are tapping enough renewables, that is solar, wind, and hydro, we need a new bouquet of energy opportunities, and that is where biofuels come in. So we all have to, the energy players, we all have to support each other in helping the larger population or the consumers achieve different kinds of fuels for their ease and to solve their problems for energy.
Right, and finally for TruAlt, what is your vision going forward? Because here again, the talk has been about, going forward, energy secure, making India energy secure, but it has to be affordable as well and sustainable. So what is TruAlt's vision?
So TruAlt, our whole objective is to work across the biofuel spectrum, and we've only begun with 5 verticals currently. We, in a short span, got our authorization to be called an oil marketing company also, which is a big achievement I take for the company. Ethanol is a big vertical. There, we're already the largest in the country. Our idea is to keep growing further, because I know ethanol consumption is going to is rapidly grow. In the compressed biogas space, our idea is to be one of the largest players there. Green hydrogen is going to be our futuristic product. Sustainable aviation fuel is what we're completely gung-ho about. And because it's completely linear, it's completely a global play, that's an opportunity for our company and our country to be a net exporter. So we're not just planning to produce enough for our consumption, but we plan to have enough capacity so that we can export to countries like the South Asian countries, with Singapore, your Gulf countries, maybe eventually the European Union, because they don't have enough land mass or enough biomass for them to have a lot of this sustainable aviation fuel, especially the ethanol to jet route. So it's a big global play. We also have potentials to venture into specialty chemicals like polylactic acid or malolactonic acid, where ethanol or the derivatives of the same feedstock is converted into a lot of meaningful products. So we are absolutely excited about the potentials that the future holds and the problems that the country has, which we see as a big opportunity. So we're excited.
All right, so a lot of an exciting future ahead, a lot of opportunities, a lot of goals to be had, and a big role to play in the future of making India energy secure. Thank you so much, Vijay Nirani, for speaking.
Thank you so much.